right? The stuff that they do today. They can be in the country category, but it's just not as good as what you had in the 80s, and that's fine. You want to play it on country radio, fine, but understand it's not country, right? That's just my thought right there.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 27 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey fellas.
Hey fellas.
Pleasure to be with you guys tonight.
Oh man, I tell you what, if Anthony ever sat to my right, I would never see him because it's just like there he is on my left every time we're here.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
I don't know. I heard we're getting new equipment, so I'm wondering if we, when that's set up, are you still going to be to my left?
I don't think
See
so.
what the table brings.
See what the table. Oh, a table.
Ah, table.
We did that one episode around the table, and I thought, it was intimate. It was like an acoustic set,
Well, the acoustic set was coming from your dog.
Well, that was true too. Yeah,
the snoring was very loud.
He was snoring quite loud. He gets all like crazy during storms, and so like last week, I've been on vacation, but last week my mom had the dog while we were on vacation, and she said he was like shaking during storms. It's crazy.
So you mean to tell me that the dog gets scared during storms? What happens during fireworks? Just out of curiosity.
He was
same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, we had to send him over during 4th of July. We had to send him to my parents' house because we weren't going to be home, and so like we didn't want him there at the house, just shaking uncontrollably.
I'm not sure if either of you guys have ever been to Bluffton, but there isn't a whole much to do there. It's very good for a family vacation. So, of course, it was great to see my in-laws and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and my nephews and hang out with them. But, of course, as I've said in previous episodes, and I'll say again, of course, I'm going to go do the circuit to the local stores there in Bluffton. So I went to a couple of places, one there on the property in Palmetto Bluff, Boundary Bottle Shop. I've been there a couple times, pretty cool. But this time I went to Big Jim's Liquors, which is just about, it was about 10 minutes from where we were staying. So I struck up a conversation with the owner, really good guy.
Big Jim?
Here's the thing. I don't even know if he's named Big Jim or not, because, I know he's the owner, but I didn't even bother to ask if his name was Jim. So, if by chance he ever listens to this, I'll be like, I'm not sure if that's his name or not. But really cool guy, and had a really good bourbon selection. We talked about how bourbon has kind of gone off the charts. He told me about how he gets asked all the time about, Blanton's and everything else. But the cool thing about him was he was pretty honest with me and just said, I'm part of a local bourbon society here and things like that. And he said he takes care of his regular customers, which I really appreciated because I've been to so many of those stores where you go in and you see a whole bunch of cool bottles sitting out, but they cost like 10 times secondary. That store's not one of them. So I really appreciated his talking to him and everything else. Like really, really straight up guy, really nice guy. And then on top of it, I found some really old Canadian whiskey. I found some 18-year-old J.P. Weiser's whiskey that looked like it had been on the shelf for literally forever. And I asked him, where'd you get this? And he just said, I've had it ever since I took over the store, which was like 7 or 8 years ago. And so I got a really good feeling that stuff was distilled probably like sometime in the 80s or 90s. I'm still trying to date it, but pretty cool visit, pretty cool scene.
You found yourself a Dusty.
I did. I found a Canadian Dusty.
Is this the same place you found the really old 27-year-old or 37-year-old or whatever?
No, if you remember now, I was out in
whiskey.
North Carolina, so I think we've picked up a trend here, which is in the Carolinas, nobody cares about Canadian whiskey.
Well, I was just thinking, Big Jim likes it when you come on vacation because you buy all the stuff that he hadn't sold in years. He's like, oh yeah, here comes Anthony. When are you going to schedule your trip again next year?
Well, I told him I was going to stop in every year, and he told me he was going to buy a bottle of that for himself because he trusted my review. I opened it and drank it. It was pretty tasty. So we'll see. I don't know if he actually did it, but that'd be pretty cool if he did.
So how did you find Big Jim? Like, did you just like Google liquor stores around there, or did you just when you were driving in you saw that one, or look for the one that had the best bourbon selection? Like you looked that up online or something, or?
I just go to search liquor stores near me, and then I read the Google reviews just to see if it's going to be a waste of time or not. And that one didn't seem like it was going to be, so I went over there. I think I actually bought a bottle of Chattanooga barrel strength too as well, just because I always wanted to try it, and it didn't cost any more than it did in Kentucky, so it was pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I know there's, around here, I'm glad to hear that Big Jim is taking care of people around there and doing things the good way. I know there's some around here, we were just talking about how they like to take care of people that spend a lot of money or buy a lot of tequila or stuff like that. I know there's one around here that they got Weller Foolproof in the other day, and it was a store pick. So, like, in theory, they probably got 100 bottles of it at least, Not like just regular Weller Foolproof where they've only got 4 or 5 bottles. But they apparently only opened it up to their bourbon club, And I feel like I've been in there regularly, and I've never been invited to be in the bourbon club, or they've never talked about the bourbon club around me. So, but I know enough people that are in it that they thought I was in it, So I went in there, and so I thought I would just try to, I thought I'd slide that in there, So I was like, stopped in, and I even name dropped the owner when the guy was working, I was like, hey, so and so said he'd save me one of those Weller Foolproofs. I thought maybe I could come in here and get it right now. And the guy goes, oh, they're all sold out. He goes, we had them, but they're all sold out. Okay, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I know that's not true, but whatever, that's fine. So then a buddy of mine goes in there like 5 or 6 days later, and while he's in there buying something else, a guy comes in and picks up his Weller Foolproof, and so like clearly they weren't sold out, So it just kind of bugs you, when you see that kind of stuff.
Well, how do you know, and I'm just speculating here, that Steven didn't actually slide over there? He's in the Bourbon Club secretly. We didn't know that.
I'd say he probably did. He probably slid over there.
Was it you, man? Did you over there?
I came in after hours.
Yeah, well,
I scooped them all up.
Makes you just kind of want to, like, just say forget it. But at the same time, you also know, like, you got to go there, It's one of those things. Like, it just sucks, but it's just part of it.
Well, the big thing that bugs me about it, and again, this is not like a jealousy thing or anything else, because obviously as connoisseurs, collectors, lovers of bourbon and everything else that we are, I like to enjoy a lot of the stuff that I get and I'm fortunate to get my hands on. And when you got stores that are, taking care of whatever their regulars are, and then their regulars end up with somehow 5 bottles, and then all of a sudden they're posting them on, some secondary site for $300 and $400 a piece, and saying, I'm not budging a bit on this, and then you're like, well, why are you taking care of some guy who's basically going out and making money off you? So I guess if you're a good liquor store owner, or if you want to take care of your customers, you should maybe favor the people that are drinking it. Maybe you think,
yeah.
So that's hard to please, though.
By the way, can I just tell you what I think is one of the stupidest commercials on TV right now? This has to do with liquor stores, so I'm not like. Going off the rails here.
Yeah.
But
if you are, then
well, I mean, it's a Drizzly commercial. Have you guys seen the Drizzly commercial where there's like 4 of them sitting on a couch, or 3 of them sitting on a couch watching TV, and one of them goes, "Uh-oh, we're out of bourbon," and then they call Drizzly and it's delivered. Who's out of bourbon? Like, what? Anybody that drinks bourbon doesn't just run out of bourbon. Like, you've always got bottles sitting around, right? Like, I could believe it if it was beer. Like, I'll look in the refrigerator and we're out of beer. Like, that happens.
That happens.
Like, or wine, that probably happens. Mm-hmm. But like bourbon, that never happens. Like,
I know it doesn't happen at any of our houses.
I mean, if you just want to keep drinking, you're going to find something at your house. Like, you've got bottles.
I mean,
the day I come,
it's bad. You got a pot still. You can always drink.
I mean, right? Which.
We're referencing that bottle of pot still that's still here, right, Steve?
It's still here. As a matter of fact, I had a quick little pour.
It's a good reference point. That's why
exactly. I had a quick little pour tonight, knowing that no matter what we have tonight, that's always going to be the bottom, right? So
there you go.
I mean, it's only up from there.
Your taste buds only go up from there.
That's exactly right. It's only up from there.
That's the palate warmer.
It's going to make whatever it is taste that much better.
Well, speaking of tonight we have a bottle from Watershed Distillery. It is their bottled and bond bourbon.
This is actually very exciting. So Watershed Distillery is actually in Columbus, Ohio, right? So you guys have heard me say previously, I'm an Ohio boy, and born and raised in Ohio. So whenever we're talking about stuff like that, it's exciting. So distillery is Watershed Distillery. The bottle date is 2021. The ABV is 50%. It's 100 proof. Of course, it's bottled and bond, so it's a 4-year product. The mash bill is 72% corn, 21% rye, and 7% malted barley. And the MSRP is $50. But a quick sidebar here. We were very fortunate. This is the first time in the short history of our podcast that we were actually sent this bottle as a media sample. So Watershed Distillery was nice enough to send us a package, a very nice package, with their Bottled and Bond bourbon and also the apple brandy cask finish bourbon. I believe that's what it was called. And so that was provided to us. And, of course, we're going to look at the apple brandy cask finish in another episode. But, I don't know, gentlemen, what do you guys think about that? That presentation for their media package was super nice.
Pretty cool. I feel like we made it, when somebody sends you something.
I mean, there's a great big black box that magnets on it. You lift the top up. What did it say on the inside again?
Say I'll drink.
What I'll drink.
What I'll drink. What I want. Or
drink what I want.
I'll drink what I want. Yeah, it was
whatever.
pretty cool.
Something like that. But I feel like, we always talked about when we started this thing that we were going to be open and honest. But I also feel like that, if we don't like it, we're going to get an invoice for these bottles. We're going to be like, you talked about the MSRP. They're going to.
By the way, that's
they're going to send us that plus the tax and everything, shipping costs and everything else too. So
that's
gotta watch what we say here.
Yeah, exactly right. No, I mean we'll be as independent as possible, but
but they did a cool job on the bottle. It's not the regular generic bottle that a lot of those like craft distilleries do. We've talked about how that one how so many of them have that same shape, kind of like the Stag Junior bottle shape, and I think maybe was it Wild Turkey or somebody has that too. It looks like this thing is. Stephen commented on how heavy duty it is. Mm-hmm. It's a heavy bottle. It's got a lot of information on it. I felt like it's Bottled and Bond. They missed the opportunity to put the dollar sign label on the top. You know how like the Bottled and Bonds always have the 100 and then the 100 proof thing that kind of looks like a dollar that shows it was. Government approved or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, almost
should have put that on
like
there.
a fake tax strip kind of thing, but it still looks cool.
Put that on there.
Yeah.
Hey, do that. But it's got a little bit of information on the back. I do like that it's aged 4 years because it seems like there's so many craft distilleries that just want to go ahead and put stuff out, right? Mm-hmm. So they obviously waited, and I think when we were looking up information on it, I think they had a regular bourbon that was like a 90 proof, but it was 4 years too. So like they've done that, and I think they've got like a 6 year out or something.
Yeah,
and they've been around for 10. So
that's the thing. I had asked just because I wasn't sure, being that I have family in the Columbus area, and it's not surprisingly I've had some friends and family that have actually gone to that distillery. I didn't know that until I was gathering information recently. But.
And I'm looking forward to some of the flavors. One of them is chicory. So can anybody tell me what chicory is before I start looking for it?
Steven's a flavor man. He got is it like
I believe
a coffee?
it's a flower. I believe weird notes of like nutty and coffee may come from it.
Oh. I thought it was like a chocolate hickory, but I guess I'm wrong on that. But they've got great ingredients and a team dedicated to the pursuit of perfection.
That inspires confidence.
I was looking up. We don't know anything about it, right? So I knew nothing about it. So we started. Steven says before the episode, he's like, get on there and let's find out a little bit of information on the distillery, the bottles, all that kind of stuff. I just went to Google Maps, and it's right around the corner from the Ohio State football stadium. So that's kind of cool.
Can I get an OH?
I'm not doing that.
Ah, come on.
I just like stadiums. I can't stand it. I did go to a football game, or I went to a tailgating experience at Ohio State, Ohio State, Michigan one time.
That was
cool.
a good one.
No, it was cool. It was fun.
Synthetic or no?
Oh, it's a synthetic cork.
Synthetic cork.
Yeah, it's
okay.
a synthetic
Nice
cork.
and tight.
But it is, it's
good seal.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Synthetics make that noise. They're celebrating 10 years of distilling, independent distilling. So maybe they've been around even longer than that. That's how long they've been doing it. So
pretty good. I'm excited to try it.
Non-chill filtered.
That checks the box, right?
Checks the box.
Non-chill filtered.
Does it? What box is that? The
non-chill
non-chill filtered box.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what bourbon drinkers want, right? They want to make sure that it's non-chill filtered.
Okay.
Even though you got some of the best brands and whiskeys in the world that are chill filtered, but I digress, right? All right.
Should we go for our first notes? I love Christmas.
It is piney fresh.
Yeah,
that is a Christmas wreath if I ever smelt one.
Yeah, it's hard to
Pine cones.
Smell anything else, but that's a very strong pine note.
Evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about what we're looking forward to in the fall before the episode. This is just like it right here.
There you go.
There's a hint of, there's a nice little caramel note.
Yeah, faint caramel. Maybe a little bit of zest, like a orange or lemon zest, like a citrus zest.
Yeah, some sort of citrus zest.
It's very interesting. I mean, you guys have already said it, but I jokingly said if you're from Ohio and you're especially from Northeast Ohio, there's a lot of trees and a lot of things at Christmas in Northeast Ohio right here, and the smell of this bourbon.
Do you know if that area is heavier in evergreens than the tree makeup versus Kentucky?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I do know that, the area I'm from, massive amount of oak trees everywhere.
Oak trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of oak pollen. Of course, you got Buckeye trees too, right? Can't mention those.
Buckeye candies.
There you go.
Go out for first taste.
All right. It's interesting. It's got...
There's not much flavor.
Well, a little bit. I'm tasting some flavor. It's like a quick hit on the front palate with that nutty. I guess it's a little bit of nutty, a little bit of cherry. It's quick though, and then it kind of dissipates into that. I would call it like an oak, like a wet oak or a young oak or a toasted oak, but it comes on pretty strong.
Well, you saved that because you started off with it's interesting, and I feel like that's like, when you're getting ready to break up with somebody, that's like the kind of, the neutral kind of words you use to.
Funny you mention that.
But then you got better.
It definitely tastes. You can definitely tell it's 4 years old. I've had other 4-year-old products that taste a little bit more mature than this, and I wonder how much of that is, if they're, I can only imagine, because it's bottle and bond, they got to be storing it there in Ohio. And even though, some people might think that the climate there in Columbus, if that's where they're storing it, is the same as, Lexington, Bardstown, Louisville, it's really not. It's actually a little bit hotter here, and up there it's a little bit colder in the winters. And so I wonder if there's a little bit less
penetration.
Of the juice, the liquid going back and forth into the wood. So it's not interesting in a bad way.
There you go. That's
I'm
good.
getting a lot of pine or oak, just raw wood notes out of these.
Yeah.
Do we feel like? I don't want to get too nerdy on this. Would we know the char level, the char number on that barrel?
Gosh, I mean, your guess would be as good as mine. I know that a lot of companies talk about, like, for example, Wild Turkey always talks about their alligator char, right? And then you hear others talk about different levels of charring. I'm not really an expert enough to know if that has an impact on this, but the color is probably like a light amber, copper.
It's pretty light. And there's kind of a couple little things, add up that it's light colored.
Yeah.
We're getting heavy oaky pine wood notes. Just wondering what the char number is. If it's a 3 or if they go lighter like a 2.
It's possible, or it just could be as simple as the fact that the climate's different.
What
does Burger King use? They charbroil. What do they use? They're like a 6, right? You ever driven by there and they got the smoke coming out?
Oh my gosh! I wonder what they're doing to those burgers. I mean, they're not just putting them on the grill; they're probably actually injecting them with flavor too. So
it's funny. I saw the Onion had an article the other day, but it said, "Is Burger King open or not?" And how you can't really tell if the lights are on, and it's like one of those places
That's
when you
true.
come by. When we got home we were coming back from Mexico the other night, out of the airport, and we were hungry, so we're driving. It's like 10:30, so we pull off the exit, and Ashley's like, my wife's like, I want Burger King. I was like, well, that's all right over there. And we had to drive up, and we're like, are they open or not? Are the lights on? You can't really. Oh well, there's a car in the drive-through. You had to figure it out, but we got some charbroiled flame.
Nice.
Right at 10:45 at night. I don't know if it was a level 2 or 3, but
now everybody knows about your diet there at 11 o'clock.
My diet's terrible. I can tell you that right now.
I think the other thing I'm getting from this, it's 21% rye, and you can tell that it's 21% rye. There's a lot of spices.
There is a lot of spice.
There's, I guess, a little hint of vanilla that I'm catching too. So
it's faint if it's there.
It's very faint, but it's again, I'm back to saying just interesting because, we try a lot of different bourbons. I think we're all used to different things that we like, and this one's definitely off profile for a lot of the stuff that we've tasted and things that we, know, and that's not always a bad thing. So,
and it being a northern state compared to Kentucky,
yeah,
and just the different climate, and I don't know if the wilderness around there, we're getting a lot of the tree influence in the warehouse, but it's just a little different.
It's
'Cause,
possible.
getting to Christmas, I didn't know if we would have more, evergreens up there.
Yeah, it definitely has, and it could just be whatever rye they're using, sure, that influences that flavor profile, but definitely interesting.
So here's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Is that I'm partial to anything from Kentucky.
Yes.
And I have a hard time liking anything that's from outside.
You
And
got
so
a hard time even finishing the OHIO. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I won't do that. So I feel like this has, at a regular bourbon, they're not going to be able to compete with the Kentucky bourbons. However,
Are you saying you're going to handicap it?
yeah. However, they probably can succeed in what I would call the gimmick category. Where you finish things and you blend things and you do stuff like that, right? And they sent us a something finished, right?
Yeah, the apple
so
blend,
I
yeah.
think that's where that can level the playing field for these kind of companies. You know what I mean? Like they can kind of mask something that's not quite as good as Kentucky bourbon.
Their base product
Right.
or something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that when we do that, because I think that'll probably be, and that you just got to call that what it is. Like it's
Yeah.
it's different. My '80s country that I love.
There
Right.
you go.
You can have other stuff, but you just got to call it what it is. It's not country, right? The stuff that they do today. They can be in the country category, but it's just not as good as what you had in the '80s. And that's fine. You want to play it on country radio, fine, but understand it's not country, right?
I'm sorry.
That's just my thought right
It's
there.
amazing. I love it.
So, fellas, would you pass, try, or buy on the Watershed Bottled and Bond?
Well, I was trying not to be influenced by what Michael just said, even though I was entertained by it. I'm going to be a solid try on this one. And I will acknowledge that part of my try is a little bit of the Ohio bias that I have, being born and raised in Ohio and spending a lot of time there and loving the Buckeye State. For a company to do everything that I've read about that Watershed has done with their different products over the years and now kind of come to market with a bottle and bond 4-year, I do think it's worth trying. At the MSRP of $49.99, it does, as people have listened to our show, it makes it a little difficult. But the reason I'm a solid try here is because most people that drink whiskey and bourbon, they're always tasting things that are similar, right? And we're always trying to taste the next best thing. This is different, not in a bad way. When I first poured it, I definitely was a little bit more like, what the heck am I drinking here? And then as I sipped more, I actually liked it more. But I don't know, the reason I'm saying try is because I don't know if it's going to be something that I'm going to go out and immediately buy when I see it. I do want to try their other products. I'm really excited to try their finished stuff because I like finished bourbons. And so it'll be interesting. I think that's a really solid product put forth, and you can tell that a lot of thought and effort went into it.
I'm up to take some of your topics there. I like what you said about it being different. I kind of enjoyed the Christmas scent right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nostalgic, right? It
Yeah,
brings something like
yeah.
nostalgia.
Especially coming the end of summer and it's hot. I'm gonna pass on this bottle, but I'm excited about this being the base and seeing what a cask finished product can bring.
Okay.
The only reason I'm gonna have to pass on this is probably the cost. It being 4 years at $50.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just tough to swallow.
Well, we're gonna have to pay it now because we're gonna be getting a bill because the person they sent it to just passed on it. So, but actually, you know what? I think I would go with try in an old fashioned.
Ah, okay.
Because the piney smell of it, to me, I felt like that would smell great in an old fashioned. And plus, in an old fashioned, I don't really care what's in there. Like, I really don't. I mean, it's got the high rye content, which is good. And if somebody had that on a menu and they said, "Oh, it's got Watershed Distillery bourbon in the old fashioned," I'm fine with that. And so I think, and now that I know what it is and what it tastes like, I would not pass on that.
I gotcha.
So, but I do not think I would buy a whole bottle of it and just drink it.
Yeah, I hear you. And one thing I wanted to interject here as well is that we looked at previous bottles we've tasted from craft distillers in Indiana and even some right here in our backyard, like bluegrass distillers, right? I kind of look at these folks in the same vein that I look at like Bluegrass. We liked what we tasted from them, but we also, had a little bit of hesitation at different times and said, okay, but they're on the shelf priced at around the same price that this is as well. Okay. So when you got companies that are considered craft and then they're putting out their bonded products and other products, the price level's a little steep, but I got to imagine that people in Ohio will probably rally around them pretty heavy. And when you get, I don't know how many states this is distributed in, I can't imagine it's probably more.
It was on their website. They tell what 10 I think it was basically just the ones right around here.
Just around here. So
around them at least.
I think they'll get a little bit of traction there and people maybe rallying around to.
But it's got to be tough. Like I was thinking about what you just said there. It's got to be tough, like to figure out how much you sell something like this for, because we talk about the price. It's just too much. Like, but you also don't want to make it like $20 because then it just looks like a bottom shelf, and you're never, you're gonna get passed over, and everybody's like, oh, it's a cheap one that looks like the cheap Total Wine brand that's at the bottom of the the bottom of the thing. So, and I know they got to make money too. Like that's the other thing. Like they just can't sell it for $20 because they probably don't have all the resources. So it's got to be tough for them.
Yeah, and that's the bottle looks great. I mean, the presentation of it's great. Everything looks great. So.
And they waited for 4 years, so I mean, good
Yeah.
job. Like that, it's got to be tough too. I know they got like gins and stuff out, so I'm sure that's what kept them afloat for a while. And just for people that listen locally, we did look up that they have it at Liquor Barn.
It is distributed in Kentucky and different stuff too. I think.
Yeah, I think they got like a pick or something.
They had a pick, like a barrel strength pick or something like that.
Something like that. So.
That's something we need to check out, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was priced at, 60 or 65?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it was 6 years, too.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit older, too.
I think there's a lot of promise here. I'm excited about it.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.